This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Thailand. Hello, Crystal.
Hi, Alma. Yes, I am Crystal Mapa, live from Thailand, and we're bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines, the country will have to deal with as much as 20,000 daily cases of COVID-19 before reproduction rate eventually slows down by the middle of September.
Cambodian civil servants and officials from the education sector on Monday flocking to a hospital to receive coronavirus vaccine booster shot.
Anti-government red shirts protesters parade through the streets of Bangkok and neighboring provinces in their vehicles demanding the coup maker turned Premier General Prayut Chan-o-cha to resign for his failed management of the COVID outbreak and the delay in vaccine rollout.
And the waters of the Bangkok area along Manila Bay can soon be fit for swimming and other contact recreational activities.
First, the country will have to deal with as much as 20,000 daily cases of COVID-19 before reproduction rate eventually slows down by the middle of September. Octa Research Fellow Dr. Guido David said in the Laging Handa press briefing that the spike in cases is due to the highly transmissible Delta variant. He added that the effect of lockdowns won't manifest at once. Let's listen in.
Alam kasi natin, base sa history, sa mga nakaraan na lockdown natin, pag nagkaroon tayo ng lockdown, hindi naman agad-agad umababa yung bilang ng kaso. Usually mga 3 to 4 weeks bago natin nakikita yung pagbaba ng bilang ng kaso. Pero nakikita natin bumababa yung tinatawag na reproduction number or yung hawaan ng mga tao. Ngayon, nakita naman natin sa Metro Manila, bumababa yung hawaan. Ibig sabihin yung reference number nasa 1.47 na. Dati nasa 1.0. So malaki na din pinaba niya. At nakikita naman natin, maaaring umabot na siya sa less na pagdating ng kalagitnaan ng September by mga September 13-14. Based on our projections, baka bumaba na to less than 1 yung reproduction numbers. So ibig sabihin mababa yung hawaan or bababa na yung bilang ng kaso pagdating ng September. Pero sa ngayon, dahil hindi pa siya bumababa less than 1, tumataas pa yung bilang ng kaso. Pero bumagal na yung growth rate ng tao o yung pagtaas ng bilang ng kaso. Pero sa ngayon, dahil umabot na yung 90,000, makikita natin maaaring lumagpas pa yan ng 20,000 cases per day sa buong bansa.
Results from other countries, mahirap lang i-manage. Lahat na kung walang strict compliance with minimum health standards. Kaya po yung ECQ natin, nakabagal din yung pagbaba ng hawaan, yung reproduction number natin. Malaking factor sa pagbaba niyan yung 2-week ECQ natin po. So, yung MECQ, sana humostain niya yung downward trend sa reproduction number. Ang importante dito sa mga kababayan natin, hindi ho pwede talaga magpabaya pag-compare sa panahon ngayon. Kasi talagang nakakahawa itong Delta variant. And ang suggestion nga namin, kung hindi naman talaga kailangan lumabas, huwag na lumabas, no? Ang importante, kung kailangan lumabas dahil sa hanap buhay, siguraduhin natin, sundan natin yung minimum public health na yung pagsuot ng face shield, face mask, pag-iwas sa mga malataong lugar, yung pag-practice ng social distancing, pagbubugas ng kamay. Doon po sa ating bagong survey, select part, no, nag-survey kami noong July 12 po, yung bagong doon ng sa survey, at nakita namin nag-decline talaga yung practice ng minimum public frequency ng public social face mask, social distancing, pagbukas ng kamay, yung mga practices na line off from January to July. Kita natin, ito isa area na kailangan natin improve yung compliance. Pangalawa po, yung ating MEC ko medyo maluwag. So, kailangan natin ikita ng konti. Lalo na yung pag-force ng minimum public health standards. Importante po talaga na yung ating hospital capacity, lalo nito sa NCR zone, sa Central Luzon, sa places like Rizal, ay augmented, no? Tulungan natin sila kasi ayun nga, yung sinasabi, yung bagong bayanin natin, no? Yung ating mga healthcare workers, they need help at the moment. So kailangan ng augmentation, whether it's equipment, pati personnel.
Professor Rai reminded the need to strictly follow minimum public health standards such as wearing a face mask, face shield, and social distancing. He also said vaccination will control the surge of COVID cases. Professor Rai said the highly contagious Delta variant is a big factor in the increase of COVID cases in the country.
Staying in Philippines, the city government of Manila has vaccinated more than 70% of its target population, with over 760,000 fully protected against the coronavirus. Let's listen in.
Makikita nyo sa inyong screen, 1,981,864 na po ang bakunang na-deploy sa lungsod ng Maynila. Okay? Kaya ito po ay umaabot sa 117%. Pagdating naman sa tinatawag na herd immunity, ang sabi nila dapat 70%. O kung COMELEC pa rin ang pag-uusapan, ay lagpas na po tayo ng 72%. Na 70%. In fact, 2 linggo na tayong lagpas. Opo. 2 linggo na tayo'y lagpas sa inaasahan nating target.
Dumagosa said the number of vaccinated persons do not include the over 50,000 who received the shots through the help of the Federation of Filipino Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry in the city. Since the city is also administering vaccination to non-Manila residents, Dumagosa estimated that about 100,000 persons have received the life-saving shots. Once vaccines become available in health centers, Dumagosa said house-to-house vaccination would be carried out.
Bureau of Quarantine Director Roberto Salvador Jr. confirmed the implementation of the use of One Health Pass for travelers and returning overseas Filipinos beginning September 1. Let's listen in.
Opo, malaking tulong po ito sa mga kababayan natin na uuwi dito sa Pilipinas. Ang purpose po talaga nito is ma-decrease po yung inconvenience ng mga kababayan natin uuwi dito. Ang One Health Pass po ay ino-automate po lahat ng proseso. Ang gusto po natin sana ay paperless na from the point of origin po mag-register na sila doon sa electronic health declaration checklist, and sa pamamagitan po ng pag-register ng isang registration lang po, dire-diretso na po ito na maipapasa sa lahat ng mga ahensya na tumutulong po sa pag-aasikaso sa mga kababayan natin umuwi sa Pilipinas, tulad po ng OWA, ng Department of Tourism, ng Marina, ng PCG at ng OSS. So, ito pong mga informasyon ng mga kababayan natin na i-register nila doon pa lang sa point of origin, magagamit po ito para po continuous na maipasa ang mga informasyon, magamit po ito kaysa hanggang makauwi sila doon po sa LG. Madali po, user-friendly po talaga ang One Health Pass po. More on information lang po talaga Kaya ang ilalagay ninyo, personal details, yung flight details, kaya dire-diretso na po yung registration. Pagdating po sa Pilipinas, once na meron na po kayong QR code, automatic na po, unang step natin is i-check kayo ng Bureau of Quarantine. So once na may QR code po kayo, titignan lang po, i-scan. Pag meron na po, kay step 2 na po tayo, punta na po tayo doon sa orientation area natin. Kung saan, andun po yung OWA para sa mga balik manggagawa natin, sa mga OFW, andun po yung Marina para sa mga seafarers natin, and andun po ang DOT para po dun sa mga non-OFW natin. So ganun din po, i-scan lang po, paperless po dapat tayo. Kaya pagtapos po doon, diretso na po sila sa Bureau of Immigration para magkaroon ng clearance. Then, diretso na po sa hotel. So after po ng hotel, depende po dun sa classification nila kung 7, 10 o 14 days sila maka-quarantine. After po ng maswab sila, and ma-release po yung quarantine certificate, kinu-communicate din po ng One Health Pass sa mga LGU yung data na mayroong mga ganitong dami ng mga Pilipino na uuwi doon sa locality nila. So from start to finish po hanggang mauwi natin ng ligtas at maayos yung mga kababayan natin sa locality nila. Dapat po within 3 days po before kayo mag-travel sa Pilipinas, mag-login na po, mag-fill up na po doon sa www.onehealthpass.com.ph natin para makakuha kayo ng transaction number. Then 24 hours po or pag nasa airport na kayo, bago po mag-check-in, bago mag-board, dapat po i-fill up naman yung electronic health declaration checklist. Ito po yung nagsasabi kung kamusta po yung pangkalusugan natin, yung health status natin. So doon naman po sa mga hindi marunong or hindi gaano techy or hindi gaano po nagkakaroon ng problem sa pag-log, pwede po sila magpa-assist doon sa mga airline staff natin.
The Philippines reported 22,366 new COVID-19 cases on Monday, the highest single-day increase ever recorded since the start of the pandemic, bringing the total number of infections in the country to 1,976,202. As of 4 p.m. on August 30, the Department of Health also logged 16,864 recoveries and 222 deaths. Of the total number of infections, 7.5% or 148,594 are active, 90.8% or 1,794,278 have recovered, and 1.69% or 33,330 have died. The Octa Research Group said the breach in the COVID-19 cases was expected due to the still high reproduction rate of the virus nationwide. However, they noted the rate of the increase is expected to slow down next month once the effect of the latest 2-week lockdown in the National Capital Region or NCR and other areas seeing rising infections starts to become apparent.
Cambodian civil servants and officials from the education sector flocking to a hospital to receive the coronavirus vaccine booster shots, as some 1,725 cases of the Delta variant of the virus have been detected in the country in recent weeks. Take a look.
ខ្ញុំយល់ថានៅពេលដែលយើងបានចាក់ដូសនេះហើយដូសជំនួយថាអាស្ត្រាសេនេកានេះយើងមានអារម្មណ៍ថាជំងឺប្រភេទថ្មីដែលថាជាដូសមួយឆ្លងលឿនហ្នឹងបាទយើងមានអារម្មណ៍ថាយើងដូចថាយើងធូរស្រាលក្នុងចិត្តច្រើនតែអារម្មណ៍ពីមុនមកថាមានតែថាអាចកត្តាឆ្លងច្រើនហ្នឹងយើងថាមានការធូរស្រាលច្រើនសម្រាប់ក្នុងចិត្តរបស់យើងបាទខ្ញុំយល់ថា ផែនការរបស់រដ្ឋាភិបាលដែលបានគិតគូរដល់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋក៏ដោយមន្ត្រីរាជការដែលបានចាក់វ៉ាក់សាំងតាំងពីដូសទី1ដូសទី2រហូតដល់គិតគូរដល់ចាក់ដូសទី3ដែលដូសជំរុញហ្នឹងគឺថាទាន់ពេលវេលាសម្រាប់យកសម័យបច្ចុប្បន្នដែលថាកត្តាមេរោគសម័យថ្មីដែលចូលមកដល់នេះយើងចាក់ពីភាពប្រសើរបំផុតបាទខ្ញុំចាក់លើកទី1ស៊ីនវ៉ាក់លើកទី2ក៏ស៊ីនវ៉ាក់ដែរបាទ
ហើយនេះមកចាក់ដុសជំរុញលើទី3នេះនេះអាស្រ័យទីកាខ្ញុំយើងថាធម្មតាបារម្ភឯពីព្រោះជំងឺហ្នឹងវាកាចសាហាវខ្លាំងហើយវាបំលែងថ្មីមកអញ្ចឹងណាដល់គេពីមុនដងទី1ទី2គេការពារតែអាឆ្លងអាកូវីដទី1ដល់ពេលនេះវាបំលែងថ្មីទៅការនេះវាសាហាវអញ្ចឹងបានជារាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលគាត់តម្រូវឲ្យចាក់លើកទី3ទៀតអញ្ចឹងទៅដើម្បីការពារអញ្ចឹងមានអារម្មណ៍ថាសប្បាយបាទ
Cambodia has been offering coronavirus vaccine booster shots to frontline people and state civil servants in a drive to shore up COVID-19 defense as Delta variant cases spread nationwide. While Cambodia appeared to have escaped the brunt of the virus last year, an outbreak first detected in February has steadily driven up the caseload to nearly 92,616. Some 1,725 cases of Delta variant of coronavirus have been detected in recent weeks. Cambodia's mass inoculation campaign has so far seen more than 66% of the country's 16 million population receive the UK-produced AstraZeneca. The US donated Johnson & Johnson or the Chinese-made Sinovac and Sinopharm jabs. Cambodia has some of the region's weakest healthcare infrastructure and is ill-equipped to deal with a major outbreak of COVID.
Malaysia is celebrating its National Day today, and the Prime Minister has a special message. We have Alfred Balmes for the update. Hello, Alfred.
Hi, Crystal. Good afternoon. Yes, you're right. Today, Malaysia celebrating the 64th Merdeka Day. According to Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, that there must be resolve and determination among the entire Malaysian family to win to fight against COVID-19 and help the nation economy recover. During his National Day address to the nation in conjunction with the 64th National Day celebration, the Prime Minister said, on this sacred day, let us all vow to help the recovery of this nation, which was built irrespective of religion, race, or ethnicity. He added every Malaysian should continue to champion the fight against the pandemic as the nation's main enemy. He noted that the current challenges has threatened political stability, not only in Malaysia, but also the rest of the world. Ismail Sabri also said, what we are facing today has never been faced by any leader or government before this. We are facing several challenges at once, namely the pandemic and the economic downturn. The Prime Minister emphasized that only through the cooperation of all the parties and vaccination would the fight against COVID-19 succeed. This was vital to revive the economy, improve the rakyat welfare, and restore investor confidence. He called on the Malaysian family to be vaccinated as soon as possible, as this will help the nation recover. Vaccines have proven to have a positive impact, especially in efforts to combat the pandemic. He also touched on the struggles and sacrifice made by the past multiracial leaders and those who died defending the country. They want to have the spirit of togetherness shown by Tunku Abdul Rahman Putra Al-Haja, Tun Abdul Razak Hussein, Tun Hussein Un, Tun Dr. Ismail Rahman, Tun Tan Chinglok, Tun Hias Lee, and Tun Biti Sambatan. This also include leaders from Sabah and Sarawak such as Tun Dato Mustafa, Tun Muhammad Quad Stephens, Tun Abdul Rahman Yabkub, and Tun Temingsu Juga. He has mentioned a few historical facts because a nation that wants to rise from the crisis must know its history. Individuals who know history will have a strong identity and mutual respect. More importantly, they will be focused on overcoming any challenges as one big Malaysian family, adding that he hoped this would be the last year the National Day celebration with help during a pandemic. Back to you, Crystal.
Thank you so much for your update, Alfred. So happy National Day to you there in Malaysia.
Thank you so much. Live reporting from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. This is Alfred Balmes. We live in interesting times.
To Indonesia now, where it's taking its vaccination drive to the sea as the world's biggest archipelago nation ramps up a bid to inoculate its huge population. The Navy has deployed 60 boats and warships to scour thousands of kilometers of coastline in the hunt for unvaccinated fishermen from westernmost Sumatra to the holiday island Bali and remote Papua. Among their targets, a Navy warship deployed a flotilla of rubber dinghies with crew and vaccines aboard to jab willing fishermen in rickety boats off Sumatra at the weekend. About 1,000 seafarers have been jabbed since the nationwide program kicked off last week, although authorities admit they don't even know how many might be out there for now. Indonesia is taking its vaccination drive to the sea as the world's biggest archipelago nation ramps up this bid.
Anti-government red shirts protesters parade through the streets of Bangkok and neighboring provinces in their vehicles, demanding the coup maker turned Premier General Prayut Chan-o-cha to resign for his failed management of the COVID-19 outbreak and the delay in vaccines rollout. Let's listen in.
It's very clear that the constitution, democracy, and the legal systems in Thailand has now failed, and it all became injustice. And so the people rises up to rebel against the system, and that is why we are all here today.
Overburdened hospitals and a sluggish vaccine rollout, coupled with financial woes from weeks-long restrictions on businesses, have fanned anger at Prayut's administration. The anti-government movement first gained momentum last July. At its peak, it drew tens of thousands to street rallies demanding the resignation of Prayut, a former army chief who came to power via a 2014 coup. But attendance waned this year as the public stayed away due to COVID-19 fears.
In other news here in the Philippines, a Korean national wanted for phishing used of fraudulent phone calls to trick people into giving money or revealing personal information in his country was arrested in the Philippines, according to the Bureau of Immigration. BI Commissioner Jaime Morente said the BI's Fugitive Search Unit arrested Park Voram, 39 years old, at a hotel in Mandaluyong City on August 25. Park, who is an undocumented alien, is wanted for fraud in violation of Article 347-1 of the Criminal Act of Korea. The arrest of these fugitives show that despite the pandemic, we are serious in our drive to locate, arrest, and deport these illegal aliens, Morente said in a statement. He added, "We will not allow these undesirable aliens to hide here to avoid facing responsibility for their crimes," unquote. Morente said the operation was coordinated with both local and Korean authorities. PSU Chief or FSU Chief Rendel C said they received information from South Korea of the fugitive standing arrest warrant issued by the Gwangju District Court. Park is reportedly a member of the large-scale voice phishing organization who deceived thousands of victims by pretending to be a loan officer in a financial institution. Damages attributed to him amount to about 4 billion Korean won, or more than 171 million pesos. He will be temporarily detained at the BI's warden facility in Bikutan, Taguig, pending his deportation. And the news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
That I was born for you. It was written in the stars. It's as if the powers of the universe conspired to make you mine. I bless the day that I was born for you.
Hello, it's David Pomerantz here, and You've got to believe in magic. You know that, right? So please catch me on Letters and Music this coming Saturday, 1 to 2 p.m. only here on Net 25. Oh, yeah.
In a world that's full of strangers, you've got to believe in magic.
Start your day right! Tara na! Simula na ang excitement and happiness kada umaga.
Kumanta, sumaya tayong lahat. Saya-saya.
Ang trabaho naman talaga ng maritime group ng PNP is to enforce the maritime laws.
Tayo lang yung stricto, pero in other parts of the country, pwede na naman ang tourism.
Definitely, we are ready to respond to a possible spike.
Sapagkat ang aming intensyon ay makatulong lang sa mga tao na wala talagang magamit na gamot.
92 voted for this resolution, which will make it stronger, calling on the Justice Department to come up with more stringent ways to be able to avert these hate crimes against Asian Americans.
Mas marami po tayong magagamit ngayon na mga tools or mga equipment.
Maraming salamat, Weng, at sa buong puwersa ng Balitalakayan sa pagkakataong ito.
Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Weng de la Fuente sa...
At itong Balitalakayan will live in interesting times.
Welcome back to the program. President Nguyen Xuan Phuc signed decision number 1535/QD/CTN on August 30 to grant amnesty to 3,026 prisoners and other 9 persons whose sentences have been delayed or suspended. The decision takes effect tomorrow, 1 day ahead of the National Independence Day of Vietnam. The Prime Minister, the Chairman and members of the Advisory Council on Amnesty, the Chief Judge of the People's Supreme Court, the Prosecutor General of the People's Procuracy, the Chairman of the Presidential Office are responsible for implementing the decision. Earlier on August 23, Deputy Prime Minister Pham Minh Binh, Chairman of the Advisory Council on Amnesty, chaired a meeting of the Council to review the list of inmates nominated for amnesty before submitting it to President Nguyen Xuan Phuc for approval. Amnesty is a special leniency granted by the state under the state president's decisions to release from prisons ahead of time persons sentenced to term imprisonment or life imprisonment on the occasion of great national events or anniversaries or in special cases.
Staying in Vietnam, the Civil Aviation Authority there on Monday asked domestic airlines to stop ticket sales until they get formal permission. The CAV also requested airlines to continue reducing frequency of flights from and to cities and provinces currently placed under social distancing. Last month, the authority asked carriers to minimize the number of air routes from localities undergoing social distancing to Hanoi, while only 2 return flights between Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi are allowed per week. All passengers on domestic passengers are required to have certificate of negative COVID test result. Vietnam confirmed 449,489 COVID cases as of August 30, of which 445,291 are domestic infections recorded in 62 cities and provinces since the 4th COVID wave began in late April. Ho Chi Minh City is the epicenter of the current COVID-19 wave with 215,821 cases.
Department of Labor and Employment Secretary Sylvester Bello III said 250 distressed overseas Filipino workers from Kuwait will arrive in the country on September 1st after the government responded to the migrant workers' urgent request for assistance. Bella said 80 of the troubled OFWs came from the Migrant Workers and Other Overseas Filipinos Resource Center, while the remaining 170 are domestic and company workers. And I quote, "These workers have either finished their contracts or have expiring exit visas and victims of various employment contract-related violations," unquote, he said in a news release on Monday. Bella said the unfortunate migrant workers were rescued through a Qatar Airways chartered flight arranged by the government. He said the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, covered the tickets of 50 distressed OFWs, while the rest were shouldered by employers or companies. Bella said just like the many OFWs who were repatriated by the government, the arriving migrant workers via flight QR932 will receive other forms of assistance such as quarantine accommodation and transport services for their journey back to their respective families or places of origin. The Philippine Overseas Labor Office, or POLO, in Kuwait said the chartered flight is Dole's response to the request of OFWs who can't go home on regular flights. Labor Attaché Nasser S. Mustafa said this is due to the current restrictions and daily seat cap for arriving Filipino workers in the country.
Dr. Suanchai Watanayin Choranchai, Director General of the Thailand's Department of Health, said more than 31,000 children in the country, aged from under 1 to 5 years old, have now been infected with COVID-19 in the past 4 months. Most were infected by close relatives or other caretakers, and of these, 9 have already died. Citing data released on August 21st, he said that within a week, 5,298 additional infections among young children, including 4,773 Thais and 525 foreigners, were recorded, representing an increase of 33% over the previous week. He also advised parents to bring their children straight home from the nurseries, shower them, and change their clothes immediately as a precaution against spreading the virus at home. Teachers or caretakers at the child centers and nurseries are now being instructed to keep a close watch on children in their care for any symptoms of COVID-19.
Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, or BIFF, who said they were deceived into joining the terror group, surrendered to the military on Monday afternoon. Colonel Pedro Balisi, commander of the Army's 1st Mechanized Infantry Brigade, said on Tuesday the rebels yielded at their headquarters in Barangay Kamasi. The surrendering batch, all members of the BIFF Bungos faction, turned in an M16 rifle, 2 M14 rifles, 2 homemade 50 caliber sniper rifles, 2 30 caliber sniper rifles, 3 rocket-propelled grenade launchers, 2 improvised explosive devices, explosives and ammunition. An alias Sudan, one of the surrenderers, said they are tired of fighting and most of the time running from pursuing military forces in the mountains of Maguindanao. And I quote, "We were further disappointed upon learning that we were duped as they promised to pay us a huge amount monthly, but it never happened," unquote. Sudan said in a phone patch interview. Banaag has lauded local officials of nearby Sheriff Saidona Mustafa, Maguindanao, in helping the army to convince the rebels to surrender. He said the BIFF batch is currently undergoing custodial debriefing while their livelihood assistance packages are being processed by the Sheriff Saidona Mustafa town government. Since January this year, some 150 BIFF members have surrendered to military and police authorities in the province.
The National Water Agency pub in Singapore said flooding occurred in Yugang Avenue 8 and the Punggol Way Slip Road to the Tampines Expressway or TPE on Monday morning. Several areas around Singapore are now at risk of flash floods. Flooding at the two sides subsided according to the agency, informing them later in the day. The Meteorological Service Singapore or MSS, a unit under the National Environment Agency, said on August 28 that the public should brace themselves for heavier rains over the next 2 months due to the Indian Ocean dipole entering a negative phase. This weather phase is expected to persist till October, according to MSS. In the negative phase, winds blowing towards the eastern end of the Indian Ocean are intensified. Now, this will set up a temperature gradient across the tropical Indian Ocean with cooler than normal water in the west and warmer than in normal water in the east. The warmer pool fuels the formation of rain clouds and results in heavier than usual rainfall over Singapore.
The news continues here in ASEAN in Focus after this short break.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights. Sharpen your instincts for smart decision-making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Welcome back. Quarantine restrictions and the weak recovery of the economy in the second quarter would allow the Philippine economy to post a maximum GDP growth of 5% this year, that according to a local think tank. In its latest market call report, First Metro Investment Corporation, University of Asia and the Pacific, Capital Markets Research said this growth this year at best could reach 5% or lower by year-end. The think tank said the 11.6% GDP growth in the second quarter brought some optimism, but on a quarterly basis, growth still contracted at 1.4%. With the rise in COVID cases due to the variants circulating in the country, FMIC UAP Capital Markets Research said economic gains in recent months could be diminished. These gains include job generation in June, when 361,000 new jobs were created. When employment declines, so does income, which could lead to lower consumption, the economy's primary growth driver.
Bus operators are ready to deploy buses exclusively for the vaccinated population to create a protective bubble against the COVID-19 and to allow more transportation, as majority of the fleet has been grounded amid the pandemic. Victory Liner General Manager and President Marivic Del Pilar, in an event hosted by Go Negosyo on Monday, said the bus industry wants to participate in the proposal of creating micro-herd immunity, which refers to a closed system that achieved high vaccination rollout already. Del Pilar said that bus operators have been coordinating to organize the dispatch of their buses in a safe manner. if planned well, Del Pilar said that the Bakuna bubble buses can address transportation needs amid the pandemic, including the employees who commute daily to go to their workplace. She said the Victory Liner executive said the bus operators can set pre-identified hop-on and hop-off buses. Companies can also pre-arrange said buses with preferred pickup points. Earlier this month, Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Jose Maria A. Concepcion pitched the deployment of buses for fully vaccinated passengers in Metro Manila to establish a bubble for the public transportation system.
A total of 250 homebound overseas Filipino workers from Kuwait, or OFWs from Kuwait, who will be repatriated this week, will get financial assistance from the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE. In a new statement, Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said the OFWs are scheduled to arrive on Tuesday afternoon via flight QR 932, which was arranged by the Philippine Overseas Labor Office, or PALO, in Kuwait. Of the said repatriated OFWs, 80 are from the Migrant Workers Overseas Filipino Resource Center in Kuwait, while the remaining 170 are domestic and company workers. The Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, paid for the plane tickets of 50 of the said OFWs, while the rest had their airfare paid by their respective employment agencies. Bello assured the government would assist all the repatriated OFWs so they could comply with quarantine protocols upon their arrivals. The labor chief said they would also be provided with quarantine accommodation and transport services for their journey back to their respective families or places of origin.
The waters of the Bay area along Manila Bay can soon be fit for swimming and other contact recreational activities. Measures for rehabilitating Manila Bay will continue, so the concentration of fecal coliform bacteria in Baywalk's waters can dip further and eventually meet the 100 most probable number per 100 milliliters standard for accommodating such activities, noted Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DNR, Secretary Roy Simatu. Mr. Sanin.
Magagawa natin lahat ito by, yung Baywalk will be by October this year, and hopefully we'll be able to go into the 100 standard coliform na pwede dyan sa lugar na yan by October.
In 2019, the government commenced rehabilitation of Manila Bay so this historic water body can be fit again for contact recreation as ordered by the Supreme Court in 2008. Fecal coliform level there was around 1.26 billion per 100 milliliter when the government decided to undertake the rehabilitation, Simatu noted. He, however, said fecal coliform level in Baywalk waters already dipped to some 7,000 mpn per 100 milliliters this August. Treatment of effluent discharging into Manila Bay significantly contributed to such improvement, said Manila Bay Coordinating Office Project Monitoring and Evaluation Officer Fran Serrano. Simatu said the government plans to install a viewing deck in the beach area. Having such a deck will enable people to enjoy Manila Bay's world-famous sunset, he said. DNR said the government is using crushed dolomite to create a white sand beach. Engineering interventions there will prevent erosion of the crushed dolomite.
In other news, parents in Antique province in the Philippines have been urged to provide their children with home learning spaces so that they could have a conducive area to study in the absence of face-to-face classes for now. Antique's Parent Teachers Association, or PTA Federation President Helen Yebera, in an interview said with learners staying mostly inside their homes while working on their modules or attending their radio or television-based classes, it would be good if the children would also have learning spaces with tables and chairs that they could use during their classes. This setup will give a semblance of being inside their classrooms, according to Ibera. Following the start of the Brigada Escuela on Thursday, Ibera said they are seeking donors of tables and chairs to be used in the safe learning spaces. Donors could give them to the PTA Federation or directly to the school officer in charge, principal, or district supervisors. About 144,000 learners from kindergarten to grade 12 are enrolled in this province for this school year. The Department of Education earlier announced that the conduct of face-to-face classes, whether partial or full-scale, would not be allowed unless permitted by the Office of the President. She said last school year, learners, especially those coming from poor families, did not even have tables and chairs to use.
Finally, in our program today, an uncertain fate awaits the hawkers, drivers, and rough sleepers who have made a second home under the ornate arch ceiling of Bangkok's century-old Central Railway Station. The elegant Italianate columns and stained glass windows of the station at Walampong will soon echo no more to the constant rattle of trains arriving and departing. Let's watch this.
This station still be in mind of the Thai people. People always remember the train by recognize the Bangkok station. So when they open Bang Sue Grand Station, is the big station. It's the biggest station in Southeast Asia now. So many activity gonna start move to Bang Sue Grand Station, but Bangkok station still keep as a museum by the purpose of the government. Government try to develop in that area. As I mentioned to you, they talk about connectivity with the bus, with other system. So it will be easy and convenient for passenger in the future. But people have to get used to that. Okay, main activity gonna move to Bang Sue Grand Station. It's a classic station. So I think people still remember of Bangkok station, although the Bang Sue Grand Station is bigger, newer, more convenient, more comfortable. But this one also, the location and the architecture and the style, still people still remember that in their mind and in their heart also.
สะดวกมากกว่าเยอะมันเป็นศูนย์กลางแล้วแหละค่ะถึงอยู่ใกล้ๆกันแต่ว่าเหมือนประหยัดค่ารถโดยสารนี้อะค่ะเช่นแท็กซี่ก็อาจจะประหยัดกว่าถ้าที่นี่นะคะ
The vast majority of services will move to a new rail hub on the capital's northern outskirts later this year, with plans for eventual fast services to China through neighboring Laos. The coronavirus pandemic has already bought a year's reprieve for the current station near the city's Chinatown district. Its replacement is almost finished but currently being used as a vaccination center. But movement restrictions and a lack of foreign visitors have crippled the kingdom's tourism-dependent economy, and the dozens of people eking out a living are already feeling the pinch. The long platforms and languid atmosphere of the Hualampong station have long imbued an element of romance to rail travel in Thailand. It was a crowning achievement for Italian architect Mario Tamagno, who worked extensively in Thailand at the turn of the century and whose blueprints drew inspiration from the Frankfurt Central Station in Germany, built near the end of the 19th century. At its pre-pandemic peak, the station handled 37 million passengers each year, according to the State Railway of Thailand. Authorities plan to turn the station into a train museum, coupled with commercial space, as a way to preserve the building's heritage.
Thank you, Chriselle, for joining me today here on ASEAN in Focus. Stay safe, always.
You're very much welcome, Alma, and thank you also to you. Stay safe as well. Again, I am Chriselle Mapo of EBC Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And that is the latest news here in the Southeast Asian nation. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. We'll see you back tomorrow. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.
Mapupuno ng saya, impormasyon at inspirasyon ang hapon mo sa Afternoon Power. Handog sa inyo ng Net25. Sasabay sa inyong tanghalian ang inyong Happy Time Barkada at 12 noon. Alamin ang mga pangyayari sa ASEAN nations, ASEAN in Focus at 2 p.m. Ang inyong paboritong awit komentaryo kasama si Leo Obligar sa Piskante ng Bayan. At mga balita sa iba't ibang panig ng bansa hatid sa atin sa Aguila Probinsya. Siksik ang hapon mo mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes ang inyong Afternoon Power sa Net25.